What is happening, people? Hopefully we're doing all right. Bit of a recap for yesterday. I was about 4% up for the day. I took a GU buy, which stopped me out at break even, which I explained yesterday. Stopped me out at break even and then ran. I then took an AU buy here that's now running a stupid amount. I took that at 1 to 3 with a random news spike. But that is running. So they all ran the direction I wanted them to. Just with the random spikes, like I said, I was going to get out. But this GU one was pretty A+ for me. There was an EU trade as well that was pretty A+. That I did not take. That ended up running 1 to 7. So this is probably the trade I should have taken yesterday instead of AU. This was very, very clean. 1 to 3 and then 1 to 7. So secured. Probably should have secured about 4.5%-ish. But no trading day, obviously, where the charts are. And my high time frame for the week is wrong. So it's the first time I've been wrong, I think, in like 3 or 4 months now. So we've got to reevaluate what the go is. So what I've kind of looked at, as my phone's going crazy, what I've kind of looked at is we've broken daily, obviously, but we've got to kind of reevaluate what the go is from here. So daily break, we had our decisional, which did mitigate our extreme. We've now taken the decisional. So on the daily, there's multiple ways to kind of look at this. So my phone is going nuts. Let me turn that off. So there's kind of multiple ways to look at this. So first option, take a daily decisional. We can now make a new range. Okay, I'm still quite bearish on EURUSD long term. So I want this to sell, but we'll obviously see what happens. So I'm bearish on this. We either go from here, and I'm happy to do so. So I think we should start creating some 15-minute ranges to the downside and kind of fall off. The next option is to come to the extreme. Now, the extreme more or less has been mitigated through here. So what I would be looking at, I didn't really create structures. The extreme more or less is up in this area above this liquidity. I don't really see this as kind of the extreme. It's pretty crap, but being on the daily, I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of came to here. Jumping down to the 4-hourly, I'm still going to actually have, I'm actually going to have this as a break of structure. So what I'll do is I'm going to actually have that as a 4-hour break of structure. I had that as my internal range, was quite happy to use it. Very insufficient range, and it ended up being so in terms of breaking this off of that daily break of structure. But now that is the case, I actually view this as kind of insufficient as well. So we've obviously got our extreme point that then has mitigated with this area here. This is then the decisional. So the area of which I'm worried about is this area here. If we create any 15-minute structure straight into this, I would expect that this won't hold and we'll actually sell through this relatively quickly. I would not be surprised. So understanding that this area, like the mitigations are kind of the same, given that it did mitigate, it makes it a little bit interesting, especially because this is actually equal lows. Like I don't think it actually induced this low. I reckon they're equal. Yeah, they're pretty much equal, and it's in the mitigation of that area here. So what I would kind of have, and I'd be happy to treat as such, is I'm actually happy to have that as my 4-hour point. And then that's my decisional, which obviously is literally this low to this high, the break of that, unfortunately. If you want that as an internal break, you then have kind of that as the decisional, but the entire area is the decisional, and I'm just looking at it as a trap at the moment. So if we come straight down to this thing, I don't think it'll hold. What I'm looking for is if we are going to go bullish, I don't want to just skyrocket up. That'll be shit for us to trade, and obviously I'll have to reevaluate if that's the case. But I would like structure to come into here and then push back up. So if we can do that, I will consider us bullish. And then we can get something like that, and so on and so forth. But until that happens, not interested. But we are bullish on the 4-hourly. In terms of everything else, I don't really view this as kind of valid on the 4-hour, so that's not of any concern to me. They're more just daily areas to me, okay? So that's kind of what we got today. So now I'm just looking for some type of structure on a lower time frame. So I'm going to use this time just to kind of like journal trades, get some of my data intact, kind of redo where all of my lower time frame markings are on my charts, make some content, and so on and so forth. I won't be trading today, and you shouldn't be either. GU, I've moved my daily extreme down a little bit because that technically is the daily extreme. We've now induced into the mitigation of that daily extreme, and we're obviously getting that reaction to the upside. So we are still bullish, and this is a bullish structure cycle. So if this is going to be a trap, it needs to take something of equivalence to the opposite side. So what we would be looking for is it's at least going to come to this high. Okay, so realistically, what we should be actually have on this, like if we were to follow what the chart's giving us, we will get that, and we will return bullish on GU. I don't think it should happen. The world events make no sense for that in my mind to have happen. But as you can see on the daily, we keep completing this structure cycle bullish, and it keeps being the case. So we have to kind of play that by how it's going. Really, really good inducement into the mitigation of this and push out. So like we're creating very, very good bullish structure. So expect that this will now be coming for this high based on what structure we have. Now on the 4 hour, it's a little bit different. That's a 15-minute break. Like I said, I'm not even going to go down to the lower time frames and have a look. There is no point. My 4 hour is still bearish. Okay, so my 4 hour is still high to low. We've then pulled up. We did not break, and I don't really have that as break and retest into this area. That's pretty shitty, to be completely honest. You can have it and then have that as your range here, but I'm more inclined to actually not use this. It technically is retest. Didn't test the decisional. So I'm not going to use it, I don't think. Because we didn't retest the decisional, we did mitigate the decisional to create that new range. Yeah, how do I want to approach this? It is external too. Yeah, I've got to treat it as that. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to have this as my take a break and retest, which means I'm going to rearrange this information here. What I'm then going to have happen is we then mitigated my area of decisional with that break and retest, like so. I just didn't come into it, which I don't love, but that's the only thing I don't like. Is I kind of did. Like that. We've then broken, so that's my 15-minute range. We've then pulled up, mitigated, and broken again. It's of no wonder that this isn't holding. So that was my range. That was my range. I'm expecting GU to come to this high as a minimum. So I'm still bearish on the 4 hour on here, which is fine, which is more than fine. But I'm not expecting this to hold. One, it should give a retracement. It is the extreme. We are in the extreme area, but what I'd more or less be expecting is two kind of options. Okay, if we are bullish on the daily and we're going to complete this, what I'm expecting is we get our 4 hour break. That gives me only 1 point, so I haven't got much to work with. So this is the option. So we either got kind of reaction and pull down like this to give me a structure cycle to break, to then work in this bullish format, or what we will have happen is break this to then straight sell. We will just run through this point and it'll be something like this to run through it. Or we will continue bullish, we'll break this high, then build up liquidity around, like it has to come down to this area for me to even look. Push out of that. Once that's created, I'll be sure we're coming for this high. And that's the only way I'll be sure is my 4 hour will actually be bullish in a sufficient range. At the moment, it is not that. So until I get that, I'm not okay to kind of like expect anything different. We've got no inducements in this range either. So this is all shit. This was a very shit range to say the least as well. And yeah, looking back at this, it was quite obvious where we were actually heading on the 4 hour for this week. This is obviously a very, very strong range. Very, very strong range. So yeah, I think it's a high chance we're coming for this high. And I wouldn't actually be surprised if we did that on like New York Open or something, given all what's going on. So that's what I'm kind of looking at the moment. Is 4 hours still bearish? Once we induce higher, it is a possibility we're bullish. I don't love the structure internally in here, so I'll need more to confirm bullish. Once I confirm bullish, we're coming for this high. If we don't confirm bullish and we push up and start to push down straight away, I would say with high certainty, we're coming for this low, which is what I want to have happen on EU and GU. So that's the read for me on that. AU, I'm very surprised if it is even doing what it's doing, but it is what it is. We are bullish. We have now taken this random break and retest. It is a possibility to come and create a higher high off of that break and retest. I'm going to expect that it's not until it does, because my daily is currently internally bearish. That's kind of still the break. If you're going to read the daily how it is, that's the break, that's the retest, that's the push. For me, that is just such a big fucking range. I'm going to use, obviously, this internal range where we've got breakthrough, this low internally in here on the 4 hour. I guess that's kind of your 4 hour, and that's kind of your daily. So we can use that. So you've got daily break, retest, you can create a new range. It doesn't have to though, but it can. So we will see. 4 hourly, if we use this in here, understanding that that is daily retest. Just depends how big you want your range to be. Realistically, this is so internal and small. I might have that as my 4 hour. So what I'm going to have is this as, I'm going to redo how I do AU a little bit, just while we've got what's going on. So that's break and test now on the bigger time frame. And then my 4 hour, oops, I want to be able to see that. My 4 hour is going to be, obviously, follow structure, points inside points. That'll be my 4 hour break, like so, which is then pulled up, not created any type of structure cycle, and then melted through. So this is just simply break and retest on the 4 hour. So how I'm reading this is we're still bearish on the 4 hour. We're still bullish on the daily. High time frame obviously holds all the weight. In terms of what we've got in here, we're now in the decisional of this move. This entire decisional is this entire area here. So it's up to you what you use. It's kind of be filled and it's taken liquidity inside it. So it's completed the structure cycle. So this is fine to use. So this is where we basically find out, is this enough to hold? We've also got the extreme, which is still in this range, which has been mitigated, but it didn't really take liquidity. This point is quite strong given the decisional actually is extreme. So like that, it holds a lot of weight, but there is still some imbalance in there. So we could get a decisional take into that extreme. So what we're looking for is, are we bullish? If we are bullish, I need some type of range on the 4 hour. I've got nothing at the moment. We can get this. We can also get this, or we can just straight get push. Okay. And that's kind of the go. So if we jump down to a lower time frame, this lower time frame will depict what we do. And until we get that, there's nothing we can do. So we will kind of see what happens. Until we get that, we don't really have a read. Given what's happening in the world, I think these pairs should sell, especially Euro. I don't see how Euro even gains strength on the dollar, on the US dollar at all. But we will see. In terms of the DXY, if we read the daily, we've obviously had daily break of structure, which has given us our decisional, which we did actually create a medium inducement into now on the daily. So if that's going to go, it'll go now, which kind of lines up with all pairs. So we've got daily decisional we've come into here. So what we can get is a move from here. We can also get a move from here. Or we get a move from kind of this entire area. From there. Okay. We are bullish on the DXY. So I would like for it to keep going up. On the 4 hour, we are bearish. If we read what we've got this break here obviously now. So if we remove all this crap, hey? All right, so if we read this, we've got daily point, which is clear. We've now induced into this mitigation. And we did create a very, very small structure cycle in here. So we've got this point here and this point here. Okay, so our bearish range on the 4 hour is this one here. We've now major induced into the daily. Are we retracing back up here, or are we pushing to take this low to retrace up? So obviously we don't know until we get the lower time frame. So like I said, there's nothing we can do. But they're the options. So what I would like to obviously see is for us to start to retrace up to these points, and then we can kind of go from there. I don't think this will hold, but this should hold given current structure. So that would be nice to see. But we won't know until we start to get movement on the lower time frame, because we can still take this decisional, and we can take that decisional and react, and we can also come down to that extreme as well. So there's multiple options there. So that's where I'm kind of at, and they're the options I kind of see. So if I can make this all visible on the daily as well, given the current circumstances, I only really use this for high time frame rates. Okay, so they're the options. That's what we've kind of got. I still want to buy the DXY. I still think it has a lot of ability to go up, and I think it makes sense, but we'll obviously see. So that's my update. No trading day today. Let price kind of do its thing. They're the options I'm seeing. As you can see, very strong candles at the moment. I think my GU trade's running like 1 to 60 or some shit now. 1 to 50. Yeah, 1 to 51. And kind of go from there. So stay tuned for some more educational stuff. Premium in the link below, free stuff in link below. Comment if you've got any questions, and yeah, don't do anything stupid today, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow.